When the part was offered to you, what was attracted you to the role of Arthur?
Um, well, first of all, just the attraction was to be involved with this film because the story was so good and so compelling and frightening, that I wanted to be a part of telling that story. And Arthur's a great part. He is somebody who has had all of the kind of vitality and energy taken from him, and he is kind of deadened at the beginning of the movie. He lost his wife a few years ago and has been kind of a shell of a man ever since. And part of his journey throughout this film is the fact that, from having kind of been a passive observer of the world, he then is forced to become an active participant in order to save his own life and the life of his son. So it's a great journey for the character. He's a very complex character, and he's somebody who suppresses a lot. And part of the challenge for me was that I'm a very energetic, quite hyperactive person, and to try and kind of sit on all that and just deaden that energy for the character was kind of hard at the beginning, but I got there.
Apart from the epilogue of Deathly Hallows, you haven't played a father, perhaps. How did you go into that sort of preparing for that sort of?
Well, I was quite lucky in that I asked James to audition my own godson for the part, and he did, and he auditioned with a load of other boys, and he was very good. Not only was he very good, but there is a real relationship there between him and I, and that makes such a difference, because especially if you're going to have a 4-year-old kid coming onto a film set with lights and cameras and a lot of people, it's quite intimidating. So for Misha, it was very easy with Misha and me because he knew me, so that made him feel kind of calm and safe, and then he was just having a good time. So that was actually made a lot easier by the fact that I had a little boy that I knew very well, because it meant that we could just play and have fun.
It's a very character-driven film, and I know you've compared it before to like The Orphanage and The Others and stuff like that. What sort of films are you into like that? Are you into the horror genre, or?
I mean, The Others is one of my favourites, and that's absolutely the film that we were looking at for this. In terms of the original Straw Dogs, I haven't seen the new one, but it actually looked really good. I saw the trailer, looked great. But the original Straw Dogs, I love. The Shining, I love. I've tried other horror movies in that. I've never got into anything even remotely gory or stuff like that. That just freaks me out. So.
Is it a genre you can see yourself working in again?
Oh, absolutely. If it was something as good as this, in a heartbeat, yes, absolutely.
In terms of the fans coming to see this, you obviously have a big fan base yourself,
right,
who are perhaps going to be experiencing a film like this for the first time. Do you have any nerves or anticipation about that?
Not at all. To be honest, like my fan base are pretty cool. I think I separated the men from the boys with Equus, so like if they stuck with me after that and that didn't freak them out, then they're going to be fine with this.
How did working with James compare to experience with David over the last few years?
It's almost completely impossible to compare the two because the structure of both sets is completely different. Like Potter is a massive film that takes place over months and months and months and months, so it's kind of hard to, and also with a second unit and all that stuff, and we didn't have any of that on Woman in Black, so it's a lot more. There is I don't want to say there's more or less pressure because they're both high pressure jobs, but there are time constraints on Woman in Black that have to be met, and so James we were working a lot faster than I was used to. James is somebody who is a real kind of he's very methodical about story structure and plot and how to tell stories visually. But I think James's rule is that if you can tell a story without using dialogue, don't use dialogue. And so that's why there is 20 minutes in the middle of the film with none at all and just me walking around the house, and it's probably the most compelling part of the film.
Absolutely.
I think he's a great director, and I think he's somebody I want to work with again and again.